Hey everybody, this is Perch, and I hope of all the videos I make, at least the idea in my head of this one, I hope this is the one that sticks for at least part of the audience here. This is probably going to get kind of, eye rolling of being overly positive, but I've read a bunch of messages and I've gotten some emails, and increasingly in the last 30 days, I would say, I've heard from more creators, more people who are writers or artists than in the last year. I'm not sure why. I'm not sure what's driving this. I have some theories. I think kind of all this disruption probably has a bunch of people kind of unnerved and everything else. And it dawned on me today as I was kind of eating, of all things. But see, everything happens with food. This is why comic books have people eating food all the time. It dawned on me that there's this thing that comes up a lot called imposter syndrome. And it's one of those terms that feels like it's kind of right on the verge of being kind of nauseating, eye rolling, kind of a lame kind of social media thing. But it's a real thing. It's a I won't say psychological condition because it's nothing that serious, but it's a natural human behavior that when you get what you want, when you get something that you've been hoping for, that part of your brain kicks over and starts thinking you don't deserve it. That you finally get that job that you've been hoping for. You finally get that big promotion. Maybe you've been working for 10, 15 years, very, very hard to advance your career, and you get that promotion, you get that new position. And then what your brain does, because it's ever so helpful, is it starts going, you really don't deserve this. Here's all the ways you're going to mess it up. Here's the 50 things. Here's a bunch of other people that deserve it more than you. Here's how you're going to sabotage your this thing you got, and here's why you tricked people into getting it. That last sentence is the one that I've heard in email a bunch from people, and it's this worry that people are going to get found out. That you got this good job, you got this good promotion, you got this good thing, and you got it based on people, believing something in you that you don't believe in, believing that you can do something, and in your heart of hearts, in your soul that that's not you. In comics, it's interesting. That comes to bear a lot more than I think people realize. People get a gig, people get a job, people get a book, people get put onto something that maybe they've always been hoping for. One of the kind of the, I mean, I don't know if deceptive is the right word for it, but one of the aspects of, working for Marvel or working for DC is that they glamorize this idea of, Spider-Man and the X-Men and Batman and Superman, and these titles are for the giants in the industry. And if you get picked to work on this book, you should feel proud. You should feel honored. You should feel like, you're lucky. And there's some truth to that. I mean, there's tons of people who would love to work on these books, and the people who do get to work on these titles they're beating the odds, and they're able to do work at that level. But there's another side of it too. And for anyone who's thinking, and maybe I'm speaking to a very small audience right now who's listening to this, for those creators who are listening, who think that, I didn't really deserve this. I can't believe that I'm being given this opportunity. I'm not one of the big names. I'm not Kirby. Keep in mind this. Number one, these publishers are cranking out books every month. To them, it's a lot less about romance and a lot more about operations and logistics. They're just trying to shove things from point A to point B. When they bring you on, they certainly want you to believe that you're getting some extremely rare golden opportunity. They want you to believe that because, it helps the mechanism work. It helps them maintain this air of this is the best place to be. But as we've seen and heard, a lot of people make far more money doing their own projects, doing their own independent things that have far less profile than Spider-Man or Batman. And you have to be careful with how you absorb this into your mind. But as much as you as a creator or you as an artist or whatever it be, as hard as you've worked and as special as you are, The fact that you're getting this title has a lot more to do with just operationally getting the book out the door than you won some amazing contest beating out thousands of other people and you're the chosen one. You can take pride in your abilities without also tipping it too far into believing that you're a completely magical person that's above everyone else. In many ways, that system that honestly customers hate and fans hate, this ego that goes into working on a title, that system doesn't benefit the customers. It doesn't benefit the creators either. In worst cases, the creators get too much of an ego, and it causes them to make bad decisions. It causes them to alienate their fan base. It causes them to not put out their best work because they think they can do no wrong. No, the person that the system benefits is the publisher. The publisher wants you to believe that you got this amazing opportunity and you should feel extremely fortunate and lucky. And maybe they want you to feel that way because, at the end of the day, you're not taking any ownership of any of this. Maybe you're getting not the pay you deserve out of it. Or maybe it's just a way to control you. And I have heard editors bluntly say, directly say to me, one of the tricks that they have played from time to time is, I'm going to put you on this title and you owe me one. And the owe me one could be, as benign as, it's kind of an underhanded threat that makes people turn in their pages on time. Or it could be more than that. It could be, help me out with a deadline. Help me out, if I get into a budget crunch and I need to offer you less money. Help me out if I'm going to screw you down the road, not to go and badmouth me because remember I gave you a favor. Imposter syndrome is a real thing. Again, it sounds like a lot of, I'm sure people make fun of that, very cringy sounding and everything else, but it's a natural human behavior that everyone has. It's a natural mental reaction to success. You question if you should have success. The people that do not have imposter syndrome tend to be sociopathic in nature. They tend to go, well, I always deserve this. And that's, far more dangerous, far more deadly, far more terrible. A lot of people, whether they're doing crowdfunded books, I've heard from, again, a lot of creators, big two creators, crowdfunding creators, creators who are in one group, creators who are in the other group. And one very common thread is a sense of, humility and a sense of, I cannot believe that I've gotten the success I've gotten. I don't deserve this. The reality is you do deserve it. Everybody who works hard deserves it. Now, of course, there are some people who got into positions for reasons other than merit. And we can make the argument they don't deserve that success. They're benefiting from a broken system, and that's true. They are, but it's we can't focus on those people forever. Right now, my message is for you, for the person who's listening to this, and maybe it's not in comics. You've worked hard. You've put in your hours. You lie awake at night sometimes wondering how you're going to get something done. You've pulled an all-nighter because a job needed to get done. And there's only one way to do it. And it was through sweat. There's in any industry, in any business, many of you, people listening right now, have been busting your ass in one way or another to get something done. You followed your heart, you followed your passion, you followed a million different things to get where you are today. And as hard as it might be, and I understand these words probably sound a little hollow, you got to give yourself a pat on the back. You got to give yourself some credit because you did work hard. And if you worked hard and you earned something, you deserve it. One of the biggest tricks and ways companies manipulate people is to convince you don't truly deserve what you've earned. But if you worked hard and if you earned it, you absolutely deserve it. And I think that in comics, it's been used as a tool of manipulation far too long. I would love to just read some of these mails. By the way, if you mail me and you ask for advice and you don't, I generally have good common sense about these things, but if most people will write, this is just between us, or I don't want you to read this on the air. And that that helps me, honestly, just remember what's what. But a couple mails that I've gotten this week have been hard to read because I read them and I see people who are working extremely hard. People are putting in the sweat equity, people who are pushing themselves to get things done. And a couple of these people, a couple of people working for Marvel, one person working for DC, two people with crowd-funded projects. One of those was a CG person, the other one was not. And they all have the same story of, I'm working my ass off, and do I deserve this? The answer is yes. When you're working your ass off, you deserve the fruits of your labor. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. Deserving kind of a good outcome from working hard does not guarantee you success. Many people work very, very hard and they do not get critical acclaim and success. The world is littered with people who are some of the hardest working people in the world, and you never hear from them. In comics, there are lots of people who work all-nighters, who push and stress and try and get Kickstarters up and try and get that job at the big two, and they do all these things, and it doesn't result in the outcome they want. Well, unfortunately, that is life. Sometimes things don't work out the way you want. But regardless of whether things work or they don't work, your hard work means you deserve a shot. You deserve being in that position. You deserve all of those things. Imposter syndrome, it's natural. If you've had these feelings, rest assured, most people have. The weird ones are the people who don't have these feelings. The weird ones are the people who can just go through life and never have to deal with any of this. If you feel like you didn't earn it, you didn't make it, look at what you've done. You've put in honest effort, you earned it. And whether things ultimately work out in the end or not, in comics or wherever you are in life, you did your best. And doing your best is something to be proud of, regardless of the outcome. So for what it's worth, there you go. Thank you very much for listening. I know it's a little bit different video than normal, but enough of these piled up that it was worth responding to. And thanks for listening.